Hello and welcome to the She Can Achieve podcast. I'm Regina Sloan. I help women who lead in their homes, careers, and communities, but they feel overwhelmed and stuck. So get unstuck and start living a life aligned with the impact that you're here to make. This is your space for that. Let's get into it. Hello, welcome to episode, wait for it, 67. I will be honest and say I did not know that until something was like, hey, go see how many episodes you have. That is awesome. I'm very proud of myself. And yeah, here's 67. Today is going to be so good because do I have some information for you? Some nuggets for you, because I know that this is going to be so relevant for you in your life, if not in this moment, in the very real near future, because we all have these things happen. And what I really love is that a part of my work is to really go first. And what I mean by that is I don't ask my clients to do things that I don't do myself, that I don't grapple with and process through and push forward. That is me as a coach being in integrity. And so I found myself in this situation that I'm going to explain here in a moment and getting some support and working my way through it. And I'm like, yes, this needs to be talked about. There's one thing for someone to share something based off of reading it somewhere, based off of our common knowledge. And it's another to speak from experience, to speak from my own personal lens of the situation. I just think that we have so much more in depth when we're talking about a situation from having gone through it. So we're going to talk today about the difference between being positive and being empowered. And what I really want you to leave with is knowing the goal is not to ever be positive all the time, that it's actually not required to be positive to have a beautiful life. And the reason I'm talking to you about this today is because I have been going through some very difficult personal issues in my life, and I did not sign up for them. There's nothing I can do about several of them, and yet here I am. And if we're not careful, our brain is always looking for ways to go into safety. And you would think that safety is like better. Safety is I'm safe, I'm protected, right? But that's not what it means for your brain. Your brain's only job is to help you survive in this lifetime. What is the least amount of energy that I can put in to get the most out of something? And when I say most, I don't mean your most fulfilled life, your most connected, most alive, most fun. I mean, it just wants to feel safe. And by safe, it means familiar. So anytime you are struggling with something, it is very normal for your brain to shut down, go within, and tell you all of these things that then actually make not only the situation worse, but make it more difficult for you to get out of it. And I think this is one of the best reasons to have a coach, because a coach is not here. We're not here to tell you everything about your life and you should do ABC. You can get on AI for that. You can go to YouTube. You don't have to look far for someone to tell you what you should be doing. But a coach helps you see specifically for you and your brain what happens for you. You have a particular problem. You have something you're trying to solve. You have a goal you're trying to reach. You have this difficult situation that you want to do something about. And the only reason you feel stuck and you're not moving forward is because of that beautiful brain of yours. And a coach helps you to see exactly what part and why it's happening. So a coach helps you like with a mirror, literally. Here is the answer. Not by me knowing, but by pulling it out of you and helping you to see what your subset thing is. Okay, so let's get into it. First of all, I think that we have been conditioned to feel like we need to be positive. We look at people who are quote unquote positive as like better than, or they have something going on that we don't, or like that's a good thing. That's the goal. That's where we need to strive to. And I am not anti-positive. I love when I feel amazing. I love when everything's going well, and I love to feel positive. The problem I have with this message is that I know it is impossible to always feel positive. And so if we take, what we've learned as children, with the messages we picked up in school, smile and you should be in a good mood. And if you're not, there's a problem. Like all of these different messages that we picked up in all the different avenues, right? If we look at that and what we have learned there, it makes a lot of sense of why we might think something's gone wrong when I'm not being positive. Or I have clients who, they're struggling with some very difficult things, some difficult circumstances, and they want to feel empowered in that and they want to be able to move through that. But their brain tells them, I need to just be positive. I need to just be positive. Sometimes that's just not available to you. The other thing I like to say about positive is I see positive as very similar to motivated, right? Being motivated is amazing, but it's never really there when you need it, right? It's time to go to the gym. Most people, after a week, you're struggling to find the motivation. And so when we think we need to be motivated to do something, hence we don't do the thing. I think the same thing with positive. When we are thinking, I gotta be positive, but we can't access it, not only are we gonna have more of a difficult time, but we actually are missing out on so much. And that's what I'm gonna talk to you about being empowered. The third thing I wanna say about positive and like feeling positive is, if you think about it, it's usually a very top heavy emotion. And what I mean by that is we have different levels of emotions and different depths of them. And if you think about, I'm so positive, and you think about, I'm grounded. You think about emotions like grounded, like courageous, even empowered, like even like to feel that. It feels like when you feel it in your body. Positive, not a bad feeling, right? But it's flighty. It feels good, but it has no anchoring to it. And the other thing with positive is you can be easily knocked off your square with it because it doesn't have a strong anchor as such empowered does. So both emotions are amazing, right? I just find that when you are struggling with something, especially something that feels very difficult, very heavy, very strong, positive isn't, one, easily accessible usually, and two, strong enough to get you through that. Thus, I want to really sell you on this idea that when you're going through something, you don't need to be positive. You need to tap into empowerment. You want to feel empowered. As I define empowered doesn't mean I'm so happy right now. Everything's going so amazing. When I think of myself being empowered, I think of myself with the best spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional armor on to help me protect myself and continue moving forward as if I was in war. Like when you think about war and you think about the men and women who went to war and they had their gear, the gear wasn't only to help protect them in that moment where they're standing. Yes, it was for that, but also to help them as they move forward. So I feel empowered has this grounded self-protection. I'm going to be okay. I have what I need. And also let's go energy. So I'm protected while also moving forward. I think empowered has very strong roots, right? Into the problem you're experiencing. When I feel empowered, I am tapping into those deep depths of my soul and of my emotional capacity to move forward in this very difficult thing. I think empowered is very much more heavier than positive. Remember I said that positive feels like flighty and it's more surface level, versus empowered is so much deeper. Like you feel it. And so I want you to tap into being empowered in difficult times. It doesn't mean you can't be positive. It doesn't mean you won't be positive. That's okay. But you'll find that when things really hit the fan, being positive is almost impossible, but empowerment is always there. And I think that's one of the things I like about feeling empowered too, because it's always available to you. I don't have to be so excited about my life and, oh my God, everything's going so well for me to find empowerment in my body. Whereas when I want to be positive, my brain likes to have evidence for positive. And when I'm in a situation where things aren't going so great, it's very difficult to give my brain evidence to prove that it could be quote unquote positive right now. Okay. So the problem with being positive as I've said before, but just like get into it, is we believe we have to stay positive all the time. We've picked up those messages in a lot of different ways. And bottom line, people don't like to experience negative emotion. That's a human experience. And when we don't have the tools and we don't know that, and we also don't know that negative emotions are okay, then we start to think something's gone wrong when you aren't positive. And many of us may have grew up in homes like that, where if things weren't going well, there was a problem. And so we've been conditioned to be positive, be a good person, be happy all of the time. And like, that's the goal. Okay. Also, when you think that you need to be positive, what happens is you don't allow yourself a space, a very important, necessary space to feel negative emotion. Hear me now. I don't care how much money you have, the relationship you're in, the life you have, you can have the most amazing anything, and you will have negative emotions because you will have 50% of the time, things happen that you're not a fan of, that you aren't going to be happy about. So negative emotions aren't even a bad thing, but we've been conditioned and conformed to believe that they are. And so thinking I have to be positive all the time and then adding on the fact that you can't be creates a problem on top of a problem. It also creates a lot of pressure. Like, pressure is an emotion. Pressure, you feel this pressure if you're believing, gotta stay positive, gotta stay positive. If I'm not positive, there's a problem. So you can see how even believing that you need to be positive all the time, actually, not only are you dealing with the problem at hand, but you're actually adding on what I call resistance. You're adding on more problems on top of already a problem. Whereas when you come and level set, like in my mind, when you get yourself to level set that I don't need to be positive all the time, this life wasn't created for that, I'm actually not able to be positive all the time, then you can relieve yourself of a lot of pressure. You can start to allow yourself space to feel negative emotions. And then you can tap into, where do I want to go from here? How do I want to move forward in this space? Okay. And to give you more of a context, so because of the personal struggles that I'm going through, my brain likes to do just like your brain does. Something's gone wrong and blame me and judge me. And then I go into shame. And then before you know it, I've shrunk down. I'm kind of like hidden, and I'm not asking for support. I'm not talking. I'm making the circumstances around me mean something about me. And then my beliefs, they just start piling on to like, something's wrong. It shouldn't be wrong. I should be able to solve it. All of this happens to me. I get into this victim space, and then before you know it, I'm not living my life. I'm not engaged and present with the people in my life, and I'm shrinking to the problems in my life versus being empowered to them because I'm believing, oh, everything isn't going positively, so there must be a problem, which then prevents me from leading in my home, leading in my business, leading in the community, being that natural born leader that I am in all of the spaces when I allow my brain to come in with all of its thoughts that we'll always have. But when I allow it to take over and convince me something's gone wrong and there's a problem and I should be positive, and then I just go down the rabbit hole. And that's what happened. And because I've done this work, it's not a problem. This is what our brain does. But because I have these tools, I was able to notice that. And I want to talk to you about how to get yourself out of that space, how to tap into empowerment and what that means for you. So we want to aim for feeling empowered in negative situations, not necessarily positive. If you can grab onto positivity, amazing. I just don't want you to make it a problem when you can't, because it's not required. You don't have to feel positive to get through a very difficult situation in your life, at work, in relationships, whatever it might be, because life is going to hand you things. If it hasn't already, which I highly doubt, but if it has not already, there will be things that happen in your life that you can't or you don't want to be positive about. If something were to happen to my child, I'm not going to want to be positive about that, right? If something were to happen in my marriage, if I can list 10, 20, 30 different things that I'm not going to want to be happy about that. And so notice how in some situations we don't even want to be happy. We want to be upset. We want to be sad. We want to be, all these different emotions. And I'll also add too, this just came to me, that another reason I love tapping into feeling empowered is because it's one of those emotions and connections you can have where you can have them while you're feeling sad. I can be sad and hurt and defeated and empowered. Like there's a bridge that can help me get there, versus if I'm sad and I feel defeated, if I'm feeling shame, it's really hard for me to tap into positivity, where I think that empowered has more of a, if I gave a visual, like a handoff, right? I can tap into empowerment from a space of deep grief. So I want you to aim for empowerment. There are many different things, and you probably, if you're not experiencing something now, you will, that causes you or could cause you to really sink low into your life and really go within and really shrink and not live your best life. And that's the last thing I want you to do, because if your life needs to be positive in order for you to show up to it, if you need to feel positive, everything has to be going well around you, then you're not going to show up at least 50% of your life. And you have this one life. I am all for it. Live it, be it, breathe it, be alive to it, which means we also have to allow in those negative things that will happen. We don't know what they are, but they're going to happen. That's the one thing you can be sure of. Okay. So empowerment does not require you to feel positive. Very, very good news. Here's the process. When I think of, okay, well, how do I step into empowerment? What does that look like? What happens? I want to share some nuggets with you. One, when you are empowered, you allow yourself to have your emotions. Allow yourself to be human. Hear me now. From the get-go, many of us make it a problem when we're feeling negative. And that's where I want you to catch yourself immediately. It is not a problem that I feel this way. It is not a problem that I think this way. Where I'm at now emotionally is not a problem. I'm actually a human, and this is what happens being a human. Next, you want to be present with what's actually happening instead of avoiding, or what we call buffering. Buffering looks like shrinking, hiding, overeating, over scrolling. It's something your brain goes and does or gets you to do so that you don't actually have to feel what's happening in your life. So this comes up a lot with my clients with finances. They want to save more money. They want to be better stewards of their money, but they're definitely afraid to look at their bank account and what they spent the last week, right? The brain wants to avoid that thing. Someone else, you might have a relationship that you really want to set boundaries with, that, every time you're around this person, you give in to all the things and you just feel like you're being ran over. Instead of having that conversation, your brain is going to offer you so many different opportunities to avoid it, to act like it's fine. That's just how that person is, so many different things. When your children are behaving a certain way, sometimes it's like, it's just easier to throw our hands up, whatever, do whatever you want, right? This is what the brain likes to do when we're experiencing negative emotion, and it wants to avoid that. What I want to call you to do is be present with that. Be present with what's going on. And the best way to do that is separating what's going on from who you are as a person. You are a human being having a human experience, and things will, and they do, and it's okay that they happen. Okay. Remember, this is a human experience. Hard things happen. Nothing's gone wrong when that happens. And I think that when you can get yourself to that space, and especially if I experience this as well, that's half of the work. I feel instantly relieved when I'm believing that about my life, about what I'm going through. Next, ask yourself what you actually need right now. Not what you do on an easy day, or, when things are going well, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is what I would do. So I need to get into that. We have been taught to tie our worthiness to our productivity. We don't give ourselves slack to just be and rest and take good care of ourselves. But sometimes getting into action isn't what you need. Sometimes jumping into the thing and solving a thing may not be what you need right then. And you'll know by the way that you feel about it. Okay, so what do I really need right now? Self-care is so important because you are your greatest asset. And when I say self-care, I'm not talking about hair, nails, shopping. All of that's amazing. But that is not what I'm talking about when I talk about self-care. It's really connecting with yourself in the moment, through those emotions and through what you're going through, being present to what's happening and saying, what do I need right now? Sometimes that's a walk outside. You would be surprised. I go into my backyard, which isn't super fancy or anything, put my feet in that grass. It's my home. It's my space. And I just breathe. And it really helps me in that moment in so many ways. Sometimes it's taking a walk around the neighborhood. Is there a book you've been wanting to read? What can you do for yourself that doesn't cause you to have to spend a bunch of money or go and do a bunch of things? Typically, it's something you can do right now within a few minutes. Okay. Next, drop the expectations that things have to go well in order for you to keep going. This is our brain loves to share this. Well, that was too hard. And we just stop. We do this with weight loss. We do this with trying to date. We do this with setting boundaries with people. We do this with spending, right? The moment something goes wrong, forget it. This is all or nothing thinking. This is what our brain does because, again, your brain just wants to be comfortable. It does not care about you thriving in this life. So the moment you hit a roadblock, the moment you hit an obstacle, your brain is instantly going to feel like this is too hard. Let's go the other way. Never mind. So it's going to want to give in. It's going to want to give up, and it's going to want to do the easier thing, which doesn't always serve you in the situation. Okay. So again, we want to, what are we thinking about life and about the problems, right? Things don't have to go well in order for me to keep going. I don't have to have it all figured out to take this next step in front of me. This is how you get out of all or nothing thinking. Now, I want you to ask one of my favorite questions. This is a step into your empowerment question. It's something you can ask yourself anytime about anything. And that is, here's my circumstance, right? I have X thing going on. I have X dollars in a bank account. My kid did X. This is what's going on. Here are the facts. And the question you want to ask is, who do I want to be through this? Notice we're not trying to change anything about the circumstances around us. I lost a job, ended a relationship, whatever it is. We're not saying that has to be different in order for me to step into my empowerment. What we are saying is, here are the facts. Who do I want to be? Who do I want to be through this? I would have this conversation often when I was helping people die comfortably in the hospitals. And if you don't know, my first career is nursing, and I spent a lot of time oncology, palliative care, intensive care units, just like the really, life or death situations. And there's a point in my career where my job was to help them die comfortably. And even in the ICUs, when we knew that was coming, that was part of the work. Okay. And so oftentimes I would see family members freak out, and understandably so, but they would continue and keep going. And this person is actually, their time is limited. Their loved one is there, and they would be arguing with the facts. They would be so mad about the things. And then they would bicker amongst each other very often about what should be doing, what should happen. Like, that's a whole nother conversation. But what I did, which I think is one of the most powerful things for many of them, because many of them have shared that with me, is level set with them in that moment. Yes, this is happening. Yes, we do not want this. And also, who do you want to be? How do you want to show up in the last moments of your loved one's life? What do you want to say to them? What is your energy going to be like? And it was so fascinating to see that when they were able to get themselves to that space, they would sit, they would be calm, they would hold their loved one's hand, they would maybe read them a story, they would play their favorite music, they would share stories with them, they would talk, they would cry, they would connect. And I think that when you ask yourself this question, who do I want to be through this? What happens is you tap into your own connection between you, your source, and the problem. Something that we can't see, but we can feel. You tap into, I am bigger than this problem, because I think that's where our brain freaks out. It thinks, oh, there's a problem and it's so much bigger than me. And when you can get yourself to a space emotionally where you can say, I did not sign up for this. I do not want this, yet and still it is here. What do I want to do? Who do I want to be through this thing right now? How do I want to think and feel right now? What would serve me most in this moment? And it will never be, oh, everything has to be perfect for me to move forward. It won't be any of that. When I tap into empowerment, no matter what's going on around me, and I say, who do I want to be through this? How do I want to feel through this? What do I want to believe through this? I always tap into, I'm the one. I'm the perfect one for this to happen to. I have everything I need to get through this. I tap into empowered, courageous, grounded, certainty. Notice I'm not saying positive, right? Clear, supported. I think about when I say, who do I want to be through this? I think about, I can solve anything. I've made it through 100% of every problem in the past. This won't be any different. Here's the problem right in front of me. I only need to take one step at a time. Like I step into thoughts that help empower me that, one, I don't need to have the answer for everything right now. Two, I have the capacity to feel. I have the capacity to be alive and connect in front facing to this problem. And three, I have what I need in this moment to do what I need to do. And I always have my own back. And these are just a few things. If you've not done this before, I really encourage you to take some time and think about, who do I want to be? I have this very real circumstance going on and I can't change it. Not in this moment. Who do I want to be as I navigate and face this? And then I want you to step into that, even if it looks different than what you originally planned. That's what life is. Life is going to throw you things that you did not expect. There's so much more coming for you that you're not even going to see coming. But when you can tap into, I'm the one, I can do this. I have everything I need. I have the support I need. I can figure this out. There's one problem in front of me, right? Nothing has gone wrong. This is the life experience. I'm going to love myself through this. And you feel those deep, strong emotions. You show up much better than, oh my God, I can't connect to positivity, so it's over. And that's what your brain wants you to do. But what I'm calling you to is to step into the next version of you that solves and shows up to her problems. Last but not least, and I didn't really do this in any certain order, but when I thought about this, I could not end this without saying, ask for support. Create support. It's so interesting. I see often like, oh, I don't have a support system. I don't have this. Create it. The empowered version of you goes and gets what you need. You don't have someone to support you with these difficult situations you're dealing with. Create it. The version of me that has her own back, that knows I can work through this, right? That's empowered. How would she create support? Because having a safe space where someone holds you where you are, where they can meet you where you are, but also bring you back to who you really are, no matter what is happening, who you truly are, the part of you that you can't always see in the moment. This is where transitions and transformations happen. Because if you don't have the skills and tools to override your brain when it's offering you thoughts that are just untrue, but you're going to follow those thoughts and you're going to recreate that life, versus when we know this thought that my brain is offering me right now is very much optional. There are so many different things I can think in this moment. And you know that because you have support and someone's helping you to see that, then you can step into that. It is extremely important to get support, which is exactly what I did. As I was going through this, I knew, okay, this problem feels much bigger than what I have access to right now. And that's the first thing I did. Let me back up. The first thing I did was allow what was happening, not make it a problem. I'm okay. I'm a human. I'm supposed to feel negative emotions and be in the trenches sometimes. I've been here before. Then I asked for support. I got coaching. Here's what I'm dealing with. Here are my thoughts. This is how I'm feeling. Help me. I didn't need to have any other answers. And my coach and my coaching sisters brought me right back up to the truth that is me, that I am a powerhouse. I couldn't have gotten myself to that in the short amount of time than getting help. And I think that that's one of the best results that we think about. Why would you do this? Why would you? I'm telling you, here are all the things you need to step into. If you want to be empowered, you want to be able to move through anything. Why? I'm always thinking about, what is the result? What is the benefit to you doing this thing? When I think about one asking for support, you solve problems faster. You get where you're going faster. It is always better to have someone outside of your situation that is capable, right? Don't just choose anyone, but is capable of holding you, capable of supporting you, and capable of seeing past your current problem to point those things out. You can always get out of the muck a lot faster than doing it alone. Doesn't mean you can't do it alone, but why? There are no awards for figuring things out on our own. And what I find is the most successful people who have the most engagement in their life, they feel alive, they really are loving the life they live, they have support in a lot of different ways. So I hung up my hat of thinking I needed to do something by myself years ago, and it was the best decision that I made. And from that, I took it as my responsibility to create support, and I've created support in so many different ways. Okay, so that's what's one benefit of it, right? You get where you want to go faster. You stand up to life no matter what comes. If you believe I can tap into empowerment anytime, I have the tools, I am capable, I can do this, there's nothing you won't be afraid of showing up to. Whatever life hands you, you will show up to it. You show up regardless of what's going on. You don't need things to be positive for you to show up and live your life and do the things, right? You get out of all or nothing thinking. That was one of the best benefits for me because my brain loves to go into either looks this way or that way. There is no in between. Everything's going amazing. I'm doing everything right, or everything sucks. I'm doing everything wrong. And my brain still goes there. And so being able to ask for support, being able to tap into and know what it's like to be a human, it's okay to have these emotions. All of a sudden, I can see the gray area, which is where we make most of our decisions. There are no right and wrongs in many, and I would say most, if not all, situations. So getting out of all or nothing thinking helps you to get into decision a lot faster as well. And we know that decisions create results, okay? You can still find the nooks and crannies of joy even when things are hard. This, I know I said the other one was the best. This might be the best for me because things have been so hard personally that on the outside looking in, one would think there's no way there's joy happening in that life. But because I've been able to allow my emotions, I know that they will not kill me. I'm not afraid of them. I can stand up to what's going on in my life. I can connect with it. I can slow down. I have the ability to pause and see things for what they are, right? I've built this skill. I'm able to, how I would say it would be, I slow down my life. It feels like anytime I want to slow down, you know how you have a camera, like slow down, you take a nice snapshot, like these core memories I can create in the heart of heartache. Like I've had and continue to have, there've been really, really, really hard things, and I can end my night with so much joy because I have the ability to see all the areas in which, oh my gosh, I have gratitude for this, gratitude for that. Like it's just what I do. Okay. So many realizations comes from deciding to be empowered over positive in hard situations. Nothing's gone wrong when life happens. Like, oh, this is life. This is what happens. Oh, didn't expect that, but it's what I signed up for on this worldly adventure. Okay. I said this before, but I really want to hone in on you create what you want faster. If you only move forward when things are positive, you're only going to get half the time, right? Because half of our life is going to suck. Half of the time, you're going to have negative situations happen. So if you're like, I got to be positive, well, then that's 50% of the time of your life that you're not showing up versus what would it look like that no matter what's happening in my life, I take care of myself in the way that feels best for me and I'm able to move forward, right? You process emotions and get into action much faster because you're not waiting to feel good first. If there's anything you're struggling with, especially when it talks about moving forward and taking action, things you're avoiding, it's always because of an emotion you're not willing to feel. Always. You can bring me anything and I can show you the emotion that your brain is trying to avoid. And so to be the person that allows your emotions, that processes them, all of a sudden there's not anything you're not willing to do, right? Because when you learn to process your emotions, you also can get into action a lot faster. You create a positive cycle here. Right? The more action you take, the more things happen in your life, the more you experience, the more feelings you have, the more you don't shrink from those feelings, the more you tap into empowerment to keep going. You now create this new cycle of like, I'm a person that shows up no matter what. And then things start to get simpler. Things that used to take you out for a week may only take a day and then just a few hours. We're building the capacity. Okay. Your life doesn't stop when things get hard. Like imagine that. Imagine having a life where things are hard and I'm still showing up to it. I'm still experiencing joy. I'm still moving forward in the goals that I've set for myself. Your life doesn't stop. Whereas most people, when things hit them, their life is done and they just give up. Even if it's just emotionally, they're not even, logically aware of that. They give up. They stop going for it. They stop seeing life as this beautiful canvas to which they get to paint on. Okay. You build the skill of moving forward through hard times instead of avoiding them. This is one of the most single important things you must do if you are a leader that wants to create something. You want to bring something through life to life. You've got to be able to move through those difficult emotions and take action anyway, because our brain tells us, well, when I feel more comfortable, well, when it's the right time, well, we have a lot of excuses. And what is really happening is you're waiting to feel better to do the thing versus I'm not afraid of any emotion. I can process any of it. I can take action through feeling afraid, feeling nervous, feeling anxious, uncertain, doubt, whatever, right? The version of you that can process that takes action a lot faster and goes back to my other point. You reach your results a lot faster. When I think about this also in terms of the people in our lives, right? As the matriarchs of our families, as the leaders in our homes, at work, in our businesses, in the community. What we do is modeled for other people, especially our children. So when you learn how to get up faster from falling, how to find joy and get into empowerment instead of victim mentality, your children are watching, even if they don't say that. You help them build the emotional resilience to continue when life hits them, because it will. Okay? You give them the ability to acknowledge, I'm sad. This is hard, right? Many of us were taught to be super stoic. Nothing bothers us. Get it all done. We're machines. And this is what's passed down to our children. That's how it's passed down to us. So being able to just turn that and flip it on its head. I'm a human being with human emotions that experiences hard things. I cry. I get frustrated. I feel down. I do all the things. All of it is fine. It gives your children and the people around you the permission that they don't even know they need to do the same thing. Speaking of other people, you take this just as your kids are watching, everyone is watching, right? You carry this skill, this feeling. People pick up on it. I get comments about this all of the time. People don't have words for it, but they can pick up on, that's an empowered woman. And that is what you take into every space, right? Every decision. As a business owner, as a career woman, as a mother, as a head of your household, in your community, you're always met with decisions and problems to solve. And stepping into your empowerment is going to help you solve them much faster, with much more intention and a sense of pride. I really want to wrap this up with you thinking about, well, if I'm that version of myself and I think that way, and I decide to be empowered. I don't need to be positive all the time, but I'm empowered no matter what's happening to me. And I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to stand tall and move forward in my life and do the thing that I said I wanted to do regardless, and love on myself so much through that. How will you feel about yourself? How will you feel? What are your thoughts about that version of you? I have so many. She's a badass. She's getting somewhere. She's impactful. She's making an impact in her home and in her community. She's changing things. She's leading. I feel so proud of myself. When I see other women, I have these same thoughts wow, I want to hold on to that coattail. Expansive. Many of us are shrunken down by our past. We don't even see what's possible. So much is possible. There's always a solution, but we can't find it when we need to be positive and things need to be working the way we want them to work. When we step into the version of ourselves, that future version of you that's already here, that is yes, 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 let's have that. So much opens up to you. You tap into more sufficiency, even if your bank account is low. Even if you're not sure what's going to happen with the job, even if you're not sure what's going to happen with your children, you feel sufficient in any given moment that you choose to, because you know how to tap into empowerment. And from that space, think about it. Think about who you are, solving problems, feeling that way. The problems are going to come no matter what. How do you show up differently? How do you sleep at night? How do you treat yourself? How do you treat other people? It is such a big difference when you are showing up to your life with empowerment and a sense of ownership versus victim mentality and things need to be a certain way in order for me to show up. I hope that this has been really helpful and you feel the energy to which I have put into this, because I want you to know this is one of the single most important skills that you can have if you want to be a woman that shows up no matter what's happening in your life. I'll talk to you next week. Hey girl, thanks for tuning in. If you love this and you want to take this work deeper, definitely reach out to me and let's schedule your free 1-hour consult. We will dive deep into everything you have going on, where you are, where you want to be, and clearly how I can help you get there. Super simple, no obligation, only space for deep transformation. I would love to hear from you. I'll leave my email in the show notes and also links where you can connect with me on social. Be blessed, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.